Alright guys, TacticalRab again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Interesting development emerging over the last 24 hours as to what may or may not still be going down behind the scenes when it comes to Pred and even Huke in this current OpTic situation, especially when owner of the gentlemate organisation Gotaga comes out and is very honest indeed as to why that organisation would not and would never consider Pred, given that he was potentially available over the last couple of months or so when it wasn't sure that the return to OpTic was actually going to be happening. Lots to say on this today because we get some insight which I was not necessarily expecting, and there have been serious rumours emerging as a result. So very much enjoy your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I greatly appreciate it. Plenty to get into. Starting it pretty much here because yesterday you guys may have known that there was that Spectre Divide tournament going on, of course, that Team Shotzzy was getting involved in. A lot of the OpTic fans we weren't so happy about that, given the fact that, you know, they were like, look guys, you got to be prepping for Falcons. They play of course tomorrow. But yeah, Dashy's team, they made the losers bracket run of the century, as football says, Nick and losers, so they get the championship victory there. There was of course also challenges going down last night. Some notable results here because we know that Pope, JoeDeceives, whatever you want to call him, has definitely been looking to get back into OpTic Texas. I mean, he tweeted out Yo the other day, right, that we talked about at some length. The funny thing is, they won this series. Illy's team went on to win this series, but they got slammed map 1 on the red card, 250 to 45. Exceed super gunless Hicksy. Exceed this map drops 36 in 10 eliminations to put these guys in the 50-point club. So, you know, I know the immediate reaction was, oh my god, these guys are so washed, like, can you believe it, right? There's no way Lee's getting back into the league. Next map, they 6-0'd Exceed's team in Search and Destroy, and went on to win the series. So, yeah, it's a funny old game, isn't it, really? Because it wasn't that long ago when Ravens were getting 100-point clubbed in hardpoint over 2 different maps by the Los Angeles Thieves, back in the major, pretty much, anyway. And then, since then, okay, they didn't have the greatest major run they would have liked, but they still got top 4, and since then, they started 0-2, but their practice maybe wasn't great, apparently, Ravens, because their players were somewhat unwell after getting back from Madrid, and the last 2 games they've played, much more impressive. Certainly the victory against OpTic, although, you know, you've got to wonder how many teams could have done that against OpTic right now. They don't look especially promising, as we full well know. So, you know, there were some other results as well, but it was interesting that the red card was 250 to 45, and then, yeah, the 6-0 back the other way in the Search and Destroy. Kind of crazy stuff. And aBeZy was tracking the stats of this. I thought was sensational, honestly, because it's so much effort for him to go out and find the stats. And thankfully, most of the players didn't rage quit the lobby. That's always the thing that kills it, right? If the player rage quits the lobby, then it's just impossible to get the numbers. So, yeah, that's, and then you get 0-30, is what aBeZy would typically do. But, yeah, Illy was talking about it as well. So they started the Elite Series 2-0, Illy's team as of last night, and those guys as well. So Gunnis' team, they also played the Pinnacle roster, and they took them down 3-0 relatively comfortably indeed. Gunnis dropped to 1.6. So, yeah, notable names, still grinding out there in challenges, and there are a few other like rookies as well making potentially a bit of a name for themselves as well. So maybe there is still some talent left to be had out there in the COD world. But the biggest storyline really was about, you know, Illy's team winning, but not winning at least in the respawns as impressively as they might wanted to, because OpTic's problem right now is not just their Search and Destroy that needs improving. I think for Illy's sake, a team like Gentlemates could be a consideration just because it's been their Game 5 searches that have really let them down. But that's maybe why they got rid of Priestahh over Skyz initially, because Skyz's search was better than Priesthah's, but they still can't seem to win a series anyway, so now they're making further changes and Priestahh is back in for Skyz with Luna's there as well. Who knows if that's the right idea? And look, I do believe that Gentlemates have mismanaged things this season. We are going to see, however, what Gotaga says on another potential avenue there here in just a second. So let's get into that. The minor begins tomorrow. It is an important run potentially for a lot of these teams, just because as we saw the other day, the CDL standings are so tight for champs qualification. Who's going to make it, who's not? Like, Falcons aren't going to make it. But outside of that, who are the other 3 teams that aren't making champs this year? I think you've got to put Gentlemates in there. They're too far behind. Well, not too far behind. It's obviously doable, but it's not looking great. And then who else? Maybe Boston, you expect them to fall out? but Rocker looked good, you know, Heretics looked good, and Boston were a 3rd seed for the Major 1 qualifiers, right? So it's really unclear to see which teams you pick, and of course Cloud9 New York, they're on a serious upward trajectory right now. So having a good result at the minor, it will give you 10, 20, maybe even 30 CDL points if you win towards your World Championship qualification. It doesn't affect seeding for the major. That's the important thing to note. If OpTic win the minor, it does nothing to help them get to winners bracket at their home major. Maybe it should. That's just how it is. But of course, it begins all tomorrow. Now, what I wanted to share for you guys here are a couple of clips. So the other day on the show, Trey was talking about a couple of things, but what I really wanted to dive into here that he said is that Gentlemates were at least contemplating, or maybe Pred was contemplating, the possibility of going to Gentlemates. So my understanding is that it was not clear, guaranteed 100%. As soon as Pred was out the team, it was not a guarantee that Pred would be back and would be back with OpTic. Like, you know, we said this a lot over that period, and let's not forget Shotzzy literally did say it on stream that Pred was not coming back, stop asking for it, and then of course it happened. So whether OpTic, you know, after the major, they felt like the dynamic with Huke just wasn't working and wasn't going to work, maybe they felt a bit desperate, needed Pred to come back in, sure, but my understanding is that at least there was a conversation there around whether Pred could go elsewhere. Now, seemingly other teams were not really going to do that, and that's what we'll see here in a second from Gotaga, is because he pretty much comes out and says, yeah, there was no way we were ever getting Pred. But still, it does seem like there's a possibility that Pred could have gone somewhere else. It wasn't necessarily guaranteed that he was coming back into OpTic Texas, but Gotaga and the other guy Squeezy makes it very clear and very blunt as to why they don't want to bring Pred back in.
I heard some crazy stuff prior to that.
Yeah, like, you know,
you're gonna leave it there. You're not gonna expand on that thought.
Well, it's just with the AG stuff as well. You know, AG wasn't really guaranteed to get back on OpTic. I think that happened like pretty drastically after the major. I'm pretty sure some people like started hitting each other up, and then obviously AG wanted to get back in the league, and then I think AG was shocked that he got put on OpTic. Because LAG were obviously looking to make a change, because what were they, like 1-6 or something like that going into it, 0-6, 0-7 or some shit like that. I don't even know.
Ah mais attends, imaginons par exemple là. T'es là, t'as un prêt de dispo. Est-ce que tu le prends malgré tous ces problèmes d'argent, etc. Non. Voilà, et qu'est-ce qu'il y a comme solution?
Bah, j'en sais rien.
Là, il y a Huke.
J'en sais rien, non, mais on va scanner.
Tu vois,
on va...
parce qu'il y en a qui parlent de Mercato.
Non, mais les gars, si vous parlez Mercato, on va explorer l'entièreté des options, mais on n'ira jamais prendre des gars qui ont des dossiers au cul. Et il y en a beaucoup plus que vous le pensez sur les différentes scènes d'ailleurs. Et on n'a pas envie de donner du gaz à des mecs qui ont fait des dingueries, tu vois, de base. Il y a plein d'histoires, hein. Il y a des mecs qui se comportent très très mal avec leurs mates, il y a des mecs qui ont eu des casseroles au cul avec des meufs, il y a de tout les gars. Et nous on n'ira jamais se rabaisser à fermer les yeux, oh, on fait des résultats, on oublie ce qu'il a fait, non. Ce qui n'est pas le cas de toutes les structures.
So this of course is what's gathering the attention here, and I can read a bit of French. Listening to French, I struggle with it a lot, but I think he says problème d'argent, so problem of money, basically. I think I heard that in there. So I don't think this is like a mistranslation. And then when like there was no captions later on, apparently what was said then was the following: we don't want to give an opportunity to players that have done crazy things. So, you know, I think they're being pretty straightforward about this. Now, it's very interesting with the Pred situation. Like, at the end of the day, I think it's known to some extent what was going on with Pred and why he was gone, at least to some degree. Look, OpTic and Pred, obviously that's not the official line, and that's totally fair enough, but like, let's not forget when this first happens, the number of players, you know, the likes of aBeZy, for example, coming out with screenshots of Pred asking him, you know, like, spot me this and I'll give you the money back, this sort of stuff, right? Anyway, and, you know, it's just, that's the discussion that's been had, and you'd imagine that Gotaga and Squeezy and those guys at Gentlemates know more about the situation than we do. I mean, even Nadeshot said this, didn't he, right? When Pred was on, you know, not the sidelines, basically, not even on the bench, he was dropped from OpTic completely. Shotzzy or Nadeshot was like, look, if someone's going to bring it back in, they need to know what's happened, make sure it's not going to happen again, these type of things. And it did make it, you know, I didn't think he was coming back to OpTic, I'll be straight up. I didn't think they were going to bring it back. But equally, I wasn't sure what other organisation would do it, because if I was another org, I'd have so many questions. At least OpTic know what's happened. They have that relationship, like, you know, and Hex said the door's never closed, so fair enough. But if I was another org, I'd be like, all right, like, let me get to the bottom of this. And clearly Gentlemates maybe either did that due diligence or they were never considering in the first place. But yeah, they straight up say Pred's, you know, had problems, and presumably it's not gone away in the space of a month and a half, but who knows, and then says that we don't want to give the opportunity to players that have done crazy things, whatever you want that to be. So, yeah, makes it clear that, look, it's not like Pred was going to need to go there anyway, because now he's back on OpTic, but definitely thought that it was interesting that they were so open about, from their perspective, why Pred was never an option to join their team. Of course, Gotaga has also apparently said that getting Huke is not on his agenda either, and, you know, because they don't maybe think he'd be the best fit, but for Pred, it was, well, maybe it was an option, but once they had some conversations or whatever with certain people behind the scenes, it became clear that for them it was never going to be an option. Now, where the plot thickens a little bit more for me is discussion around Huke. Because Pred was dropped, removed, no questions about that, right? Like, he was off the organization entirely, his badge was gone, he was completely off the, like, they took down his pictures in the team room and all that type of stuff. He was immediately off the branding of the team, and, you know, they went full, well, I don't know, they just erased him for a while, and then he was magically back again. Now, so Pred's back on OpTic, right, obviously. Now, Huke was removed, it seemed, because they said when they brought back Pred, thank you, Huke, for your dedication and passion playing for OpTic. We appreciate you always. Best of luck. Which is, you know, this is goodbye Huke, right? This is, he's gone from the organization. But interestingly enough, if you go to Huke's page after all this happens, this is what his page currently looks like, and, well, he doesn't have OpTic anywhere, there's no banner, but he didn't tweet anything after he was removed. And that, to me, was the question a little bit. Like, I mentioned this on the show a couple of times, to say, I expected Huke to say something, and, look, it's obviously difficult. What's he going to say? Like, thanks OpTic for the opportunity, when he probably feels like he's kind of been screwed over again a little bit, like he's been on OpTic a couple of times now and it's ended in a similar way. So it's not like he had to tweet anything. But what people are now implying is like, well, hang on a second, Huke's still got the OpTic affiliate, right? Like, it's still an OpTic affiliate. You click here, it takes you to OpTic. Pred has it as well, so it's not like Pred doesn't have it. Like, he has it. If you click it here, it takes you to OpTic, and it's the same on Huke. But why is it still there? Huke's been gone from the organization for weeks, so Huke's not tweeted anything. I mean, they've said goodbye effectively, but they've not said goodbye explicitly. They just thank him, and they appreciate him, and they wish him the best of luck. So, you know, I don't know, it's just raising a couple of questions, especially when you go on the OpTic website, and Huke is here, and so is Pred. Now, again, it's very possible that when Huke came back in, like when Pred was gone, did they remove him from this page? I think they did, because he was still on their Twitch. So if you go to the OpTic Twitch stuff, Pred was still listed as one of their streamers, but that's something that I don't imagine they update very often, that there was like a load of old guys on that are no longer with OpTic. So that's fair enough. I believe, I may be wrong, but I think they removed Pred from this when he was gone from the team, because this is their own website, right? And they were, you know, cutting out any acknowledgement of Pred seemingly existing back in mid-December. So Huke was obviously added back. Huke hasn't been here the whole time. Like, this isn't going to be the same as it was a couple of years ago when Huke was on the team last. Obviously, like, you know, they've removed and added players. And there's all the new pictures as well. Like, these are the new pictures of the team for Major 1. So this has been done recently. And now Pred's been added back in because he doesn't have his new headshot from Major 1, as you can tell the new jerseys on the other players. But Huke has not been removed, right? So when Pred was brought back in, presumably they added him to this page, but they didn't remove Huke. So, you know, people are just wondering whether Huke is actually somehow still part of OpTic. He's somehow still on the bench somewhere. And if it doesn't work out with Pred, maybe Huke's going to come back. Because the other piece is, Huke's not playing in challenges, right? Now, with guys like Illy and others down there, you might expect him to. Now, sure, after does Huke need to play challenges? No. After Major 2, I mean, to be honest, I thought it might have happened already. But, you know, Huke's not been picked up. And that has been a question. People are wondering why Huke hasn't been picked up. He's not playing challenges. He doesn't need to. Someone will sign him, you would think. But he's still got the OpTic affiliate badge. So what's going on? I think that's where people are like saying maybe the plot's thickening a bit, because you've got Gotaga and the French guys at Gentlemates revealing maybe some, you know, new details from their perspective on the Pred situation, and then we're seeing Huke has not officially said anything, and he's still got the OpTic affiliate, and he's still on their website. And this is obviously weeks after they've made the official change. So yeah, again, people are going to wonder, about the transparency on this, exactly what's happening. But again, it's raising questions. People were talking about it last night, so I thought we'd talk about it as well today on the channel. The implication therefore being, I suppose, that if OpTic don't deliver at Major 2, then maybe Huke coming back in is like an option, right? But I mean, surely that can't be a good idea after all the drama that's happened over the last several months. But yeah, very much interested in your thoughts on all of this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.